Oh, hey, we're live. Welcome, everybody, to the QGX Cosplay Workshop. I'm really excited. I'm going to be watching along with you guys. I know a decent amount about cosplay, and I want to get into it. There's not many things that I can do being a fat old white guy, but I definitely still want to do it. So I'm not going to sit here and blather on about a bunch of things. I'm going to give it to our guests. When they are finished with their class, I'll come back and I'll help with the questions and the polls. And that's the thing. Make sure you guys are asking questions down there, and you also see that there are polls. Answer the polls because it'll help steer the end discussions in the questions and answers. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over.
So why don't we just introduce ourselves so you guys know who we are. Do you want to go first?
Sure, yeah. So my name's Izza. I go by Evil Clever Dog online in the cosplay world. I've been cosplaying for far longer than I would care to admit. It's like, it's over 10 years. Yeah, a long time. And I mainly specialize in sort of armor, foam builds, and sculpting and mold making. That sort of side of cosplay is my main area.
So I've been doing it since 2014. And I'm also known as Wondercat, and I've just been going to a load of conventions worldwide, displaying my stuff. Was a UOCC finalist this year, so it's been like really kicking off. It's been really great, and we're both like based in London, so we're part of the repping the London crew. So we'll just kind of talk about if you guys are new to cosplay or you just started or something like that, the best way of upcycling what you have. So what can we give people who are just starting out? What would you recommend?
Yeah, so we're going through like a couple different topics today, and I can already see some questions in this box over here about sort of resources for people who are just starting out, and like online resources for people who are practicing social distancing. We're actually going to talk about that at the end of our segment anyway, so we will get to that. So first of all, this is sort of, this side of it is aimed at people who are either people who are just starting out or people who maybe are limited in the things they can use by lockdown and social distancing. So the first point we were going to talk about was upcycling and recycling, which also has an environmental aspect to it as well. Like it's good to recycle things and not fill dumps of like fabric and plastic and stuff.
Always scraps. Always.
Keep scraps, keep foam scraps, keep fabric scraps. You'll find a use for them. But you can also, find clothing in secondhand shops or buy clothing online and then alter it rather than making something from scratch if you're not comfortable maybe sewing a full item of clothing yet, perhaps.
Exactly. Yeah, I recommend the same. Or just see what you have in your closet as well. You might find that, for example, you want to do a Lara Croft cos test or something, then just grab a t-shirt and just do loads of weathering on it and take some photos. Like, it doesn't have to be the most expensive, like, accurate thing in the world, because it is fun at the end of the day. And for like weathering, you can even use like tea staining, which we used to do like back in school, things like that, and coffee granules and things that like, cinnamons or things that kind of resemble that rust texture. I even seen like sand, people using sand and glue mixed together to kind of give it that granuled texture. So it's really just about being super creative with what you have at home. So you don't have, I know we're all really restricted right now to what we can buy and like go out. There really is some great materials out there in your own home that you could really make use of, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just for sort of soft garments, which would be like items of clothing as well, but for hard garments like armor. You mentioned cinnamon. You can actually use cinnamon mixed with PVA glue to create like a rust texture on armor that looks really good, which you can then
smell great. You smell great.
And then you smell amazing because cinnamon is the best smelling thing in the whole world. And you can also use sort of like keeping with the armor theme. Something I've done before when I made my Spark Eater costume, which is a character from Transformers, so this huge robot. He's got these sort of like power module cylinder things on his back, and I just got like the toilet roll tubes and kitchen roll tubes and wrapped them in foam and then stuck them on, so you can use those as a base to build on top of, or you could paint them or anything like that.
Exactly. I love that though. Like, I had a friend who did a Moana cosplay, and it was like an armored Moana. And you know those hair rollers, those like really thin hair rollers? She used them in her staff, and they looked amazing. So it's really just about like painting. And I see a question here, like, how do you wear the clothing? So how I usually do it, if you have acrylics at home, water them down with some water. You can get a sponge and just dab it on the clothes. If, for example, your character's running through a battlefield, think about what's attacking them. So do they have lots of blood? So you can get some fake blood. I like to get it on a paintbrush and then flick the paintbrush so it splatters. And it's a really nice
random and organic
effect. Yeah, I love that effect. It's so cool. So it's all about making it natural. Yeah.
And you can also, there's so many things you can do with both clothing and armor. Like I've literally like gotten a lighter and like taken a lighter to items of clothing to make them look really burnt up. Exactly. I usually prefer using the long kitchen lighters rather than like a little cigarette lighter.
Like the long one.
Yeah, they're really, really good for that.
Like frayed ends as well. You just whack that on and it just seals it on. That's the lazy way of doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
Just be like, yeah, I'm done. Great. And like patterning as well. If you want to get into patterning, a really easy way is the cling film gaffer tape method. Do you remember doing it? Like, I still use it. Do you still use it?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's
like everyone uses it.
So you don't really need anything else, in my opinion, for armor. Like, yes, safety first. If you're going to be burning clothing, make sure you have a damp cloth and a bowl of water, and you probably should do it outside as well. Cling film and either masking tape or duct tape is just the best way to pattern armor quickly and cheaply.
It's you as well.
And you can also, so I'll explain the method because people might not know. So you literally, like, say you're making a bracer, you take your arm, you wrap it in cling film, and then you put tape over the cling film, which creates a barrier between the tape and your body. The cling film creates a barrier between the tape and your body. And then you have the exact shape of your arm or your leg or your chest, whatever you're creating a piece of armor for. And then you draw the pattern on, you draw the seam lines where it's going to divide up, and then you cut it off, and then you have pattern pieces that will fit perfectly to your body.
Exactly.
And it's two items that most people have in their homes: cling film and masking tape,
right?
And scissors, 3 items.
And scissors.
And a pen, 4 items.
And a good old Sharpie, and you can do whatever you want.
And then you can also, if you want to get even more fancy with it, if you've got a lot of duct tape and a lot of newspaper and a lot of cling film, you can make a duct tape mannequin. High five. So you'll need a friend or a family member who can do this for you.
This is super fun as well.
It's really fun. You stand there. You do have to stand there for quite a while, but you basically get your friend or whatever to wrap you up in, like, your torso up in cling film and duct tape or masking tape, preferably duct tape for this because it needs to be more durable. Exactly. And then basically they create that mannequin of your entire body. You're going to want to wear like an old t-shirt you don't really care about that's form-fitting. And then you cut that pattern off, you tape it back together, and then you stuff the inside full of newspaper, and you have a cheap mannequin of your exact body measurements, because mannequins are generic, size 8, size 10, size 12, which doesn't fit everybody's proportions.
It's really annoying.
So this way, if you're patterning either clothing or armor or anything, you have an exact replica of your proportions.
Exactly.
And it's great. Yeah, I use mine all the time.
It's so great. I still have yet to do one. It's so great because usually, if you have an existing mannequin, you can also stuff that. So you use bubble wrap or something and just use it. Say you want like larger hips or larger shoulders or something like that. You can just stuff it in. So you can work around what you have as well. Yeah.
And that can be great too for not just getting your correct proportions if maybe your hips or your bust was a bit bigger than the average mannequin, but you can also use that for creating exaggerated proportions, which a lot of comic book, video game characters do have sort of unusual proportions. And if that's something that you're trying to achieve, in particular I'm thinking of I've done a lot of like mech builds and armor builds where the shape of the armor does not conform to the shape of the person's body wearing it. You can sort of bulk out your mannequin with like newspaper or whatever, and then tape over that and create a pattern off of that.
Yeah, That's definitely the best way of doing it. And I feel like it's the easiest way. Like we've all have those things at home. So it's definitely something I would look into. And then we have also cos testing. So if you don't have the full costume at home, why not just do like a makeup test? Whatever your favorite character is, your favorite superhero, do a little makeup test, take it in front of some natural lighting, and just have fun with what you have at home. And it doesn't have to be something that's existing. You can also do OCs, which is original characters. So make your own characters. I see a lot of D&D stuff out there and a lot of like original OCs. And I love the originals and the gender bends. Like I love the creative stuff. Have you done any OC characters before?
I haven't yet. I've been working on my own spin on a character. I'd really like to do. Cool. You mentioned D&D. I like Critical Role, and I play a lot of D&D. And one of my favorite characters is Not, and she's the Goblin Rogue, and I've been wanting to make sort of my own version of her, where I just sort of take the design that's already there and extrapolate upon it. And I was going to give it this sort of like ancient Persian armor theme, where the sort of like chainmail connected by plate and because her outfit already has some elements of that sort of side of things in it. Like
into it.
Yeah, and because I like doing armor, sort of doing my own thing with it. Exactly. How about you?
That's really cool. I love Game of Thrones. We'll just ignore like the last season, but I love Game of Thrones, and I wanted to do a little homage. So I did the Dragon Queen. So it's inspired by Drogon, which is the main dragon. And I wanted to make like an armor version of like a queen mixed in with Drogon. So I researched like dragon designs and dragon textures and skins, and then I just drew my own, and then decided that if I made a mistake, it was fine because I designed it and it doesn't matter because I can do what I want. And it's really cool. And you just get to be so creative and just try all these different textures and trying different armors. And it's just like paying homage to one of your favorite things. And yeah, I just love that. I love seeing it as well.
Yeah, I remember that cosplay of yours. It's really cool. I never got to see it in person because whenever we are at conventions at the same time, we always miss each other and we see each other from afar and go, hello, I have to run to a photo shoot, and then never see each other again.
We just see you at the very far and I'm like, hey, you look amazing.
You look amazing too. Bye.
Exactly. That would be so fun. And I see another one. Can you do OC cosplay in competitions? You can. Some competitions do allow it, but always read the rules. Some don't. It really depends. And if there's a specific, say there was a League of Legends competition recently, you can only do from the game or from whatever it's. So you just got to read the rules. But a lot of the time, the normal ones you can do gender bends and OCs and stuff. So that's great.
Yeah, and I think also like. Thinking back on not just OCs, but sort of taking a character's design and extrapolating upon it and doing your own spin on it. A lot of contests are happy for you to do that as well. Again, check. But when I've been judging contests, I've often given prizes to costumes where I feel the person has taken a design of, say, the one that comes to memory right now is a woman who did a Rose Quartz from Steven Universe, and she took what is a quite simple design, but a dress that is tricky to make.
Exactly.
And she added upon it, and she added this sort of cascade of roses and rose petals going down the dress in a really beautiful way, and just added all these elements to the costume that suited the character, had shown she'd really thought about the character.
I love that. Yeah. You know the character.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Yeah, try and make it, if you love the character, that will come out in whatever you make. You know that you have thought about all the elements of the character, all of their personalities. So really feeding that in and feeding. So when people see you, they're like, oh my God, that's when that happened. You have that on, and that's so cool. So it's like really knowing your character and being passionate about what you're cosplaying is like, whoop, it just elevates so much more.
Definitely. And for beginners as well, if you're a bit stuck on what to start on, like what the first character should be, I would say, think about a character you really, really love and you feel is achievable for your skill level. It doesn't have to be, because I always say, pick something easy. My first armor build was a Transformer, so I'm not I'm not adhering to my own advice whatsoever. But for people who maybe don't have like a baseline of skills like I did because I was studying theater design, you can take a character that you really, really love and you feel is within your skill level, because your love for that character will keep you going through that build when you feel like giving up.
Yeah. And you would just remember, you will sit there being like at 3 a.m. why am I doing this? And then you remember, but imagine how, I always think, imagine how cool and awesome you'll feel at the end, like when you finish, and how it will feel on you and how you'll feel to finally be your favorite character. It's the most rewarding thing. The whole thing's a journey. So really getting to that end point is just going to make yourself proud. Don't do it for anyone else. Do it for you.
Exactly. Do it for you. And when you are having those lower moments, like I had when I was making my Aloy cosplay, because it was just it's so detailed, and I was like, this is going to go on forever. And I would just go back and play Horizon Zero Dawn for a few minutes and be like, this is why I'm making this cosplay, because I love this game and I love this character. Yeah. And I've had friends say the same thing to me, a friend who made a Black Panther cosplay and he was struggling with it for ages, and then he was just like, I just went and watched Black Panther again and I remembered why I wanted to cosplay this character. Reunite your love for it and it will shine through. If you cosplay something you have no idea about and you're like, I don't really know, I'm just doing it because it's really popular, then it's not going to come through. So I really feel like stick to your guns and make sure you love what you do at the end of the day, and it will show. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what this is about after all. Because the reason for cosplaying is showing how much you love a character or a game or a comic or a movie. So that's why we're here. So
just show your nerdom, like cosplay. Why not? I see so many people getting really creative during these times, and doing all this. TikTok is a huge phenomenon that has taken over the whole cosplay world. And I see so many people. We have both not joined this crazy phenomenon, but
I watch a lot of TikToks. I just haven't.
I watched them. They're fun. They're fun to do with your friends during this time, or like masks also have become such a mandatory thing as well. So I even got like some scrap fabric from my Evie Fry costume, which is really, really lovely detailed, and I just recycled it and like made some masks of it. You can make some with your favorite superheroes on or something like that, and just stay safe, but also cosplay at the same time.
Yeah. That's another thing. Before we get to our recommendations, I've got something I can show as well. This isn't a cosplay thing, but it is a nerd thing, because I said I love D&D. So I have just like so much scrap fabric lying around, and
I know, right?
So I just made myself like a little dice bag with some scrap fabric from a t-shirt I made, and then inside is lined with scrap fabric from like a witch's cape I made for a theatre production a few years ago, and then the ribbon is from my Cassandra cosplay, and it was all the ribbon left over from that. So that's 3 different scraps together to make a little dice bag for myself.
I love that. And you just make something new and you're like, this was from this cosplay. It's really, really cool. I love that. But let's get to our recommendations for you guys. If you are starting, or just places that we have found really good content to get you going to making your cosplays.
So one that we pegged as a really good one, maybe for beginner cosplayers and people who want to try out sort of upcycling and recycling, check out Alison Tabitha on YouTube. She does a lot of that kind of thing. She does a lot of, going to secondhand shops and buying a pair of shorts and turning them into Riku's shorts from Final Fantasy X, and sort of makeup heavy builds and stuff like that, where she's really using things in a creative way. And then not all, she's not necessarily using, professional grade materials, but the results are still really good. So it shows that you don't have to spend that extra money if you don't want to, or if you're not comfortable doing that, or if you can't afford it. You can still make an amazing cosplay.
100%. And she's one of my favorite cosplayers as well. And she is just like hot glue and dreams. Like for her, it looks amazing. Her transformation, everything. She's very, very talented. So definitely check out her videos on YouTube. And also, I'm going to go with Punish Props, who I absolutely stand by their videos and love their videos so much. I feel like they're crafting in real time. Everything feels I understand everything. It's great. They really break it down for you. And some of their stuff is more advanced if you're really looking to step up your cosplay game. But a lot of it is just really well thought out, and they are just absolutely amazing guys. So really, really good.
They're brilliant. Yeah, they're a husband and wife duo. They do a lot of, they are mainly more focused on like props and armor. But they, yeah, like you say, they present it in a way that's very accessible. They have different sort of difficulty levels. So you can go into some of their videos as a beginner and learn a lot and start out. Or if you're maybe like more advanced, you can go in and learn some new things as well. And it's also worth noting that they have a website where they sell patterns, and they've also written books. So you can download them as PDFs or order physical copies, but some of their patterns are free. So for example, we love freebies. They have, you know, an iron axe from Skyrim and some other sort of armor and helmets from Skyrim, which are free to download. And then you have a pattern where if you're building your first big foam build, that already takes out a huge sort of barrier to entry where, oh, I don't know how to pattern something like this. It's really complicated. Well, you can just go and download a free pattern off their website and follow along with the videos they've made, which show you how to put it all together. And that is a fantastic way to get into armor and prop building.
Oh, 100%. No, I really agree. And similar to the patterns, follow R31 Studio on Instagram, and he does tips and tricks to he posts like cosplay hacks, really, keeping your builds clean and they're really, really useful and really, really clever. And he also does free patterns as well on, I think it's his Facebook. Really great guy and absolutely lovely and just amazing. And he just does it all with foam, and it looks so simple, but it's all about layering. So when he starts to layer it, all the details come together and it's fluff. And he has some great tips and a lot of free stuff, and you know how we like free stuff.
His Instagram is just full of these sort of like little one-page tutorial things for doing different techniques and stuff like that. He's really good. And in a similar vein as well, on YouTube, Evil Ted and Kamui Cosplay, who I see someone's already mentioned in the chat. Both of them as well. Both of them great armor builders. Evil Ted worked in the film industry for years. Kamui Cosplay's been cosplaying for years. Evil Ted is sharing all sorts of secrets that were only known to people who work in theater and film for years. And it's amazing because it means people have access to this stuff that they normally wouldn't have. And he's sort of, I think he's like retired from the film industry and started doing this as a hobby because he's friends with some cosplayers, and it's just exploded for him, and it's great to see. And he also has patterns for sale. Some are free. Kamui as well has patterns, some for sale, some for free, and books as well. And again, like tutorials to go along with the patterns that they're selling.
They all have all these platforms like Instagram, YouTube, and everything. So they don't just have one. So you go check them out on all of them. And also Kimpatsu, who is one of the cleanest cosplay builds I've ever seen when she posts something. And things like Kamui and Kimpatsu, they always post a progression. So I know Kamui's doing her, I think it's Diablo Brigitte, and you get to see how it's a cosplay is formed from the very beginning to the very, very end. So if you like seeing how the progression of a cosplay, those two are very good in showing step-by-step process from start to finish on those. So they are definitely like some great people. I think that's everyone. Like, there's so many people out there that we
there's obviously way more than the few we've suggested, but those are sort of very well known, very accessible people to look out for, and then you can go out and find even more amazing people to follow. You can also join groups on Facebook, like Punished Props have a group, Evil Ted has a group. For female and non-binary cosplayers, there's a group called the She-Prop community, which is a community specifically for women, non-binary and marginalized genders to talk about their cosplay builds from all over the world.
It's so great. It's definitely amazing. And I would say YouTube is your best friend in cosplay. You just type how to insert what you want to learn. And
literally.
I want to do it. Like, I'm like, how do I do this? And I just thought, okay, I know now. So it's basically such a hub for little how-tos and things like that. So definitely, like YouTube, you get to see it, compare primers, compare sealers, compare everything. And don't be afraid to reach out to people as well. Ask them questions. How did you make this? Could you give me some advice on this? Because we're all doing this together. We're all a big community. So if we can help each other out, then that's an amazing thing to do.
Yeah. And I think also just to add to the thing about searching things on YouTube, don't be afraid to look at people who aren't cosplayers as well, because there's a lot of people you know, there's a lot of seamstresses and tailors who have YouTube channels, and that like you don't necessarily have to go to a YouTube channel that's about cosplay to learn how to sew.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I agree with that.
There's a lot of people doing just like for example, one day I was just like, I wonder how to make this kind of dress because I need to do that for something soon, and I just searched it and it was there.
And it was
Easy
just
to follow,
a
12-minute video. Yeah.
I know how to do it. Yeah, no, I agree. Like even just like making these, I just saw a random girl on YouTube. She's not a cosplayer, but she was just like, this is how I make a mask. And I'm like, great. So it really doesn't have to be cosplay based. There are people out there, like you said, who are seamstresses or who are just really crafty and creative. And even like when it comes to like woodsmiths and people who work with woods and metals and irons and things, who have things like that. And they have their own workshops as well. Those are really great. And learning about LEDs as well. People who are very into lighting stuff. There's a whole load on YouTube about that. So they're really useful. Yeah. Definitely.
And for mold making as well.
Yes, mold making. Yeah,
mold making is something that's used in a lot of different professions, not just even in theatre and film as like a broader thing that cosplay is just a small part of. For like costume and prop making, mold making is used for all sorts of things, and there's a lot of tutorials out there for that. So yeah,
exactly. Theatre electricians and theatre prop makers are also, they are so cool. Yeah, they are really.
Thanks. That's my job.
Yeah, they make it happen. Like they are the ones behind the scenes who are literally turning the cogs to make it happen. So thanks to you guys, we can have amazing stuff.
Thanks. And that's something I might get into more next week when we talk about crafting.
Yeah, we'll talk about more professional.
Yeah, if people are interested, I can talk about cosplay, being both a cosplayer and working in theatre and film. We can talk more about specific crafting techniques. If there's anything people are particularly interested in, you can go look at our Twitters and Instagrams and look at the costumes we've made, and feel free to drop questions about specific builds or techniques for us to talk about next week. That would be really helpful to help us know what to talk about.
What do you want to know that we can just feed into next week? We'll talk more about more advanced cosplay techniques and things like that, painting, weathering, making, what materials to buy, what materials we use. But like you said, if you want to pick out any specific cosplays you've made, like how did you make that specific helmet or something, then we can kind of guide you through the process that we do that for next week. So don't miss it, because it's going to be
where can people find you if they want to check out your cosplays in the meantime?
So on Instagram, I am Katya Fern. That is KatyaFern. And I am WonderCat Cosplay on Facebook. Twitter is also Katya Fern. So you can find me on there. And I will be releasing a new cosplay very, very soon. So that's exciting. That's where you can find me. Where can they find you?
So I am at Evil Clever Dog on both Twitter and Instagram. I know it's a weird name.
It's cool. I love it.
I can't get rid of it now. It's stuck with me. So yeah, I'm currently working on two-ish cosplay builds. I'm working on one cosplay build and one prop build for a cosplay I've already made. And I'm hopefully going to be able to post some more content to do with that soon. And yeah, if you want to check out any cosplays I've done in the meantime, Instagram is probably the easier place to find it, because Twitter is mostly full of me talking about my Dungeons and Dragons games at the moment. But yeah, find me at Evil Clever Dog. And unless there's anything else you want to talk about, I guess we'll see everyone.
I think we all did it really well. So yeah, that concludes our little section, and we'll be back next week talking about all the other stuff we've mentioned.
This will give you an introduction of who we are. If those of you who don't know us, my name's Nick. And I'm Gary. And basically we make videos at Comic-Cons. We started back in 2012, 2011, I think now. London Film and Comic-Con. And purely from being able to do quite a few cons, we've had an amazing chance to meet some very talented people, including our previous hosts who've just talked about their skill set very well. So yeah, we've been very fortunate to be able to kind of meet a whole range of people and do some amazing things just purely for the fact that Comic-Cons exist, which is amazing.
And cosplay.
And you guys.
We're fine.
So yeah, I think kind of our main topic was going to kind of be Comic-Cons and the community and kind of our experiences of different locales for those as well. This one playing at the moment, this is MCM, pretty much London Comic Con, the main big one. It's at the Excel Centre. They have, what was the last statistic? It's roughly around about 80,000 people over the weekend.
Something like that. It varies, obviously, between year to year. I think it might be more people. I don't know how many halls they have now.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they change it all the time. But a lot of people, basically.
Yeah, if people don't know, the Excel Center is huge, but like whenever you go to some cons, they'll use the entire convention center for a con, and this con is huge, and the entire convention center is not being used for it because the convention center is ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's so true. That is so true. We mainly use the outside bit anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this is the summertime, so people can probably tell on some of these shots where there's shots like this where it's kind of obviously more grayed over. There are other times where it's so damn sunny that you have to be outside.
You have to, the sweatiness and that's not fun.
All the high contrast areas.
And this was back whenever like the camera stuff we use now is, I mean, the last video we did at MCM where we filmed with you even out by the dock part.
Yeah,
like the new camera we've got does so much better than this. this one here was struggling a lot.
This is still holds up though. This is really amazing.
We definitely, I think, like as the filmmakers in this kind of said about kind of equipment along the way, go, oh yeah, it looked good at the time, but like compare it to what we're getting like now, it's good.
Our one stunt.
Interesting enough, the guy who fell over there is a guy called
there's me.
There's good timing. Goes by the name of Outlaw Wolf, and he has been in the cosplay community for a while, but he's actually now gone into doing stunts. Worked on quite a few big films. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but some like Mission Impossible, and he's been in Harry Potter and quite a few. And he's been doing a lot of film working, but started out in cosplay community. So I think there's kind of like saying about Evil Ted earlier on the stream, he kind of went the other way around. I think there's a lot of crossover that if you want to do some form of a creative art or work in the creative industry, cosplays have definitely it's definitely a good way.
That's so cool.
Sorry, hang on, my mic just cut out. No, my headphone. There we go. Sorry if I talked over you there for a second. So yeah, it's good because I think, like as you say, it gives you reason, and it gives you. I liked earlier on you were saying about, like, you know, if you're going to cosplay for a character that you like, it will help the motivation a lot more.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what kind of inspired you guys to start doing music videos for Comic-Con?
It's a weird accident that we kind of started doing it. Basically, we'd started doing like short action films and stuff and comedy sketches on YouTube. Bought a new camera gimbal, it was like the cheapest thing you could get at the time. It was like $60, but we were like, oh, we got this new toy, and I was going to London Film and Comic Con that weekend. So I was like, oh, Nick, like I saw these videos online that were done by a guy called Axon. And he's done these like little character vignettes. I was like, we could go and just, go up to the con, mess around, and maybe film something cool over there. And the plan wasn't even to make a video at that point. It was just to test the thing out. We didn't have a song. We didn't have anything in mind. We just kind of went along and just messed around for a couple of days. Made a video. Everybody seemed to like it. We had fun doing it. And then, 8 years later.
That's so crazy. What a transition though. Do you have like a
my sound cut out there.
I think there was a little cut out. I got the start of the question.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I cut out. I think I cut out.
Yeah, we go.
You started asking a question and it just stopped. So I was like, just on edge.
Do you have a favorite MV that you've shot, or like a favorite con that you've attended?
I think my favorite, this is weird, like my favorite cosplay music video was probably the first San Diego Comic-Con we did.
Oh,
but also because it was the first time ever going to San Diego Comic-Con, and it was like a crazy, insane experience for us.
Crazy.
But I really like this video, which is the latest, the last year's MCM one that we did.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think I kind of agree that there is definitely, I mean, kind of 2013 SDCC was huge, especially in kind of the lead up to that. And for those of you who haven't gone, like, if you ever get a chance to go to San Diego Comic-Con, that is just, they take over the whole area. We're talking about, like, you know, oh, here, this is Excel Center or this convention center. San Diego takes over the city, takes over the town.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's just a whole new world. And it blew our minds. I mean, this was our first time in America since, well, like, I hadn't been since I was a kid, and I think Karen and Gary similar. Yeah. And if you've ever seen the film Paul, the Simon Pegg and Nick Frost one, where they first go to San Diego and they're standing under the sign, no word of a lie, that's exactly us. Hey. Oh, here we go.
Hey, there I am. I love that shot, by the way. It's so cool.
I was just, because we spent a while doing that. I was so annoyed, like, we just done a whole video, just wanted to go to that area of, like, in London where it's kind of like that the whole way around and just film around with you everywhere.
Film around. I was like, let's just go to London. It would be the easiest thing right now.
True. Well, the XL was quiet. No, it's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's diabolical.
Diabolical.
I guess because someone I saw said before, or something was like, what's the, you know, one of the things people recommend for, like, to spot whenever people are in cosplay? And one of the things that's especially from the video side of it is, like, things like what you were doing there is where you kind of embody the character a little bit, and it's you know, you kind of have to go around with the swagger. Like, if you're cosplaying Kylo Ren and you're all Kylo Ren'd up, you've got to have that Kylo Ren walk. You know, that's what makes you stand out, rather than, like, here's awkward Kylo Ren who's just kind of, you know, bumbling around or whatever. Yeah. So whenever, like, as Nick saw, whenever I was cosplaying as a butcher in this video, I had to keep going around putting the psychotic face and walking around like you've got a swagger to you. Which, you know, being in costume does really help, because you can just kind of go, okay, I know I look like this thing and I'm wearing a thing I wouldn't wear every day.
Yeah, that's true.
So you can kind of really, like, embody the character a lot easier. It's a lot more difficult with, like, certain characters like this It group, where obviously you're in very casual clothes, so it's like trying to get in your mindset of it.
But you captured it so well, like, even the color grading and everything, you can tell that's from It without even, you know, the holding hands, like doing things that are from the actual film as well. You're like, oh my gosh, they did the thing in the film. You know, it just brings it to life so much more.
I'd love to say it didn't take us forever to film that.
And the group and hold hands. Okay, we got the shot.
There's definitely been times where we've kind of known straight away exactly what we wanted to do with a character.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen someone. I always remember the one of the slightly older videos we did. There was a song, and we knew the song ahead of time, and there was a line in it that was something like along the lines of "Hotter than Goose, flyer than Maverick." Top Gun reference. And literally that day, he was walking around and saw these two guys in Top Gun. He's like, right, brilliant. Okay, cool. Right, we know we're going to get you in on there. But there's been other times, like, it kind of goes back to the creativity of the cosplayers as well, because there's been plenty of times where we've seen either, like, a really cool costume or that we don't know personally a lot about. Because obviously we cover so many fandoms. Like, yeah, we're geeks at heart and we know certain things, but, like, you guys will always know that character way better, like the one we filmed with yourself. Like, I still haven't actually personally seen that show yet, but you were able to kind of give us a vibe, and, you know, we basically work as a collaboration. That's what we try and aim for.
Yeah, that's what it is. And just sharing, be like, oh, my character does this or something like that. Could you go like that? And then you give your more creative camera perspective, be like, why don't we shoot around you and things like that. So it is really a collaboration, like you said. And that's what you do in these videos.
I guess, yeah, that is the thing. Like, taking, for example, like the you know, like, if you're shooting like a Wonder Woman or whatever, the amount of times a Wonder Woman cosplayer will go, oh, well, I'll do this pose. Like, but the problem with that is you're like, yeah, Wonder Woman does this, but it covers up your entire cosplay whenever you're videoing
That's an annoying thing. That's why I never liked to pose like that, because I'm like,
oh.
So unless you're really proud of those braces.
Well, the amount of times we found someone who's like a really cool Captain America, or someone with a shield, like a really cool shield. Like, we really want to show off the shield. We really want to show off the costume. Rarely can we get a shot that gets both.
Yeah, that's so hard. That is true. There are some awesome people though.
It's yeah, I mean, it's I forgot. I haven't seen this video in years.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. That's one of the reasons why I picked it as well. I was like, actually, because this one almost killed us in the most awesome way possible. We basically flew out. The event was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We flew out on the Wednesday to New York. We landed like late Wednesday night. And then we had 4 days of filming, and we were doing a video for ourselves. We were doing a video for our friends at Nerdist. I was going to come on to this one. We'll come back to the Gary
I'm in
shot.
all of these videos cosplaying. Yeah. Like, this is a rarity.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and then like we had to fly home Sunday night, so we were literally there for like 4 days and then flew home. And that shot was on the Sunday morning. Was it? I think we woke up.
Oh, I made us go. I was like, Nick, you can sleep in the hotel room, but I'm going to see the Ghostbusters Firehouse. This is at 5 a.m. I woke him up at.
I'm like, yeah, come on, like, who's gonna take your camera?
Pictures of me and video me in front of the Ghostbusters Firehouse, please.
Dream.
Here's a great costume about to come up, saying about big, massive builds. I mean, this is the different levels that we do. You know, some are, like you say, the stranger, the It group. It's very casual, still accurate, but then like we'll have people in a minute, like Tom, who built a Hulkbuster. You know, he won the competition for that and spent weeks and months on working on the stilts and the being able to walk in. And he's actually a lot more agile than you think on that, than what comes across. But I think, like, for us, when we go to a con, it's not necessarily looking about that intricacy. Like, yeah, they're cool and we can do stuff with it.
Yeah.
But like, if we can make a cool shot, then and it's someone in a t-shirt, or you know, like a gender bend there, and then we'll make it work.
The good thing as well is like certain scenes where, you know, you have where you're just trying to kind of come up with stuff on the spot, and like say, like there's certain things you go, oh, we'll come and we'll have in mind, and something won't work. And one that just thinking about it was in the previous video, the Shazam little section that we did. We knew we wanted to film with them, but we had no idea what to film. Oh yeah, my sad, no one wants to give me a hug. No one's allowed. But the like the Shazam, but we spent maybe 10-15 minutes chatting through with the cosplayers, going, okay, what about this? What about this? And we were like, we could do the like stopping a punch thing, and then we were like looking at that, no, that's kind of dull. And then like we were like, well, what's everybody's favorite moment in the film? And like we all came to this consensus of let's do this moment. And then like we kind of the same with whenever we were coming up with the, you know, the shot of you for thing where we were like, we could do that. And then you were kind of like, well, what if I was like leaning over this, like looking over? Yeah. And it was like, okay, you know, like that's kind of the more fun part. It's very easy to get, like, sometimes you watch a cosplay video and people will just go, you know, like pull an action punch. Which is really simple, but like, you know, shots like this were really complicated to come up with on the fly because it's like going between characters. But like, it took us, you know, maybe 15 minutes to block it out and get it to work. But you know, some shots, you obviously, San Diego Comic-Con is a bit of a nightmare for the fire marshal there does not like people standing still. So it's the con where a lot of like flyby filming happens.
That's the thing. You'll kind of notice a lot of the shots and areas where it is a bit of a fly up, fly down isn't necessarily our choice. It's more that we can't disrupt too many crowds. One of the reasons like we like the outside a lot, obviously because of being able to light things, but it gives us a lot more freedom. Again, like shooting with yourself, it was, we could take our time and we didn't have anyone breathing down our neck saying, wait, you're blocking traffic.
Yeah, exactly. And what I like about your videos so much, I feel like they tell a story. They're not just like, oh, generic pose. It's more like the way you transition between the shots. And you can tell a lot in your most recent work as well, telling the story throughout. It's like seeing clips of the actual game or film or things like that. That's what really brings it alive. Is that something you learned, or is that something you want to change more into, doing more narrative-based kind of looking?
I guess it's been a kind of evolution we've had, right? Like we kind of did little bits. Like you'll see little snippets in videos like this where we'll do a little tiny scene or something.
Yeah.
But then we just kind of, I think the discussion me and Nick always had, and we had like a little side project, obviously we were talking to you about as well outside of cons.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to let's show off the cosplay, and more let's try and make the cosplay feel like it's in the world that it's in as close as we can get, which on a con floor is hard.
Yeah.
like MCM, we kind of got quite lucky by not really having much inside the con stuff to you know to mess about with, and we were able to build little scenes and narratives and whatnot. And that's I think kind of the goal going forward is to it will change depending on con, because if you're San Diego Comic-Con, you can't really do that. But you know, if there's venues and stuff where we can experiment and come up with cool scenes with characters and make a character live like it's in the franchise it's in, like that's kind of cool.
That is really cool. That is really cool. And there's so much out there now. There's so many more videographers and things like that. And what are you seeing out there? Like, you're seeing all these cool people making new things that are inspired by you. Like, how does that make you feel?
It's a weird one to respond to, but it definitely is one of the driving forces why we make the videos as well. So we've had people come up to us who have like, hey, you know, and we've had it from both sides. And we've had it in terms of cosplayers come to us. We've just had general public come to us, but we've also had filmmakers come to us and say, hey, look, I bought a camera because I saw your video, or I made my first cosplay because of your video. And it does sound weird saying it like this. I don't mean it to sound too egotistical, but knowing that we've kind of helped someone who was maybe considering take that jump and finally go, cool, right, I'm doing it. And then enjoy the fun that what is Comic-Con. I mean, as I say, we've met some amazing people and had some amazing times just purely because of this hobby, basically. You know,
that's so true. It is a weird world. I feel like we're all connected, and it's so funny. I think the first time we shot together was 2014, and it was the first cosplay I ever made. So I hope no one ever finds that little clip and like,
which one is that?
It was Daenerys Targaryen. You won't recognize me.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I was like, oh, these guys are like filming some videos. Oh, that's cool. And then people, it was such a weird world, right?
I remember that. I think the first time I properly remember meeting you was right at the end of MCM. I was hanging out, chatting to two of my friends, and you were like taking pictures in your Rita stuff. And I was like, this is the most awesome thing ever. Like, I took like 20 pictures. Like, this is like the coolest cosplay I was seeing all weekend. And I was like, I wish we were shooting a video this weekend, but I'd literally come up for half a day.
Yeah, we definitely need to shoot that sometime. That would be so cool. It's a raid on a jewelry shop.
That's one of the hardest things about Comic-Cons is kind of coming away from a Comic-Con and seeing all your friends' photos of other cool friends that you completely missed. You're like, that costume would have been awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, did you see this? No. We were too busy filming this.
Exactly. I hate that. And you're always missing people like, what? There was a giant thing of this? What? That is sad. Is there a favorite thing you like to see at cons, like a favorite cosplay or anything that catches your eye?
Oh, it's a real tough one because
I think maybe one of the things that like for cosplays me is definitely whenever if the two things that catch my eye, like Nick is aware of this because it drives me insane when I'm making film stuff, is where I see obscure stuff that no one else seems to pick up on.
That's a film.
Like I'll be like, film that, and he's like, what is that? I was like, it's based on Ralph McQuarrie's artwork from Return of the Jedi. Like, go film it. Like, run over.
That'd be great. We'll get lots of views.
There was one guy at San Diego Comic-Con who I always remember, and he was dressed as Blank Man, which is a Wayans Brothers movie from like back in the 90s, and no one knew what this guy was dressed as. And I went, "You're Blank Man." He went, "You didn't say South Park." And I was like, "No, you're Blank Man." He goes, "You're the only person who's recognized me in 2 days."
Hi.
Hello. Hey.
Hi.
Hey. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good.
There is a certain amount of if we see something new, something fresh.
Yeah.
Even if it's a variant on, like that video where there was the gender bend version of I've completely forgot the solo project now. No, completely forgot the character. This is what I'm terrible at. Imagine being a geek, but then completely having a really bad memory of stuff. Short-term memory is just like, oh yeah, you're that character. That kind of.
Are you talking about the Agent Carter section?
That's the one. I was gonna. I was about to say Agent 47, and then realized that's where I got wrong. But like seeing kind of variants is quite an exciting thing. And as you say, seeing kind of like more niche fandoms, I think is great as well. You know, there are, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love everything, but I think like for us, there's been a certain amount of Spider-Mans that we filmed and unless you're a trained gymnastic now, there's not a lot of shots that we've got left to get in that character.
That's very true. How many Harley Quinns have you filmed?
Do you know
But
what?
the question is, which version of Harley Quinn have we not filmed yet?
I was going to say, I think that's the thing. We've probably collected quite a few.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I feel like it's very popular. Is it popular in the Middle East as well? Is Harley like a very popular character?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is...
Oh, yes.
Like this is so
We are the worst. We're just like, let's just be chat and stuff.
It's okay. My name is Abdullah from Q.Cosplay. I'm one of the managers of the Qatari cosplay community. And right now, we haven't had any convention in Qatar other than IGN 2015. So waiting for Qatar Games Expo, hopefully, to do their exhibition. And regarding Harley Quinn, well, I'm a big Batman fan myself. And I know so many people who love Harley Quinn, and some of them right now are watching us, and they want to cosplay Harley Quinn. So we had one Harley Quinn cosplayer when we did a cosplay event for the Justice League movie release back in 2017. And that was our first event, and it was amazingly successful. I was Batman, and we had Harley Quinn as well as Robin, and we had other DC characters. We had Aquaman, we had Wonder Woman, and it was really great. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
I think you have a question about talk about obstacles for cosplayers, especially females, but this is directed to you, apparently. Yeah.
Now, for the Middle East, we have a very conservative society. So when it comes for some females, even males when cosplaying, you know, there is a taboo when it comes to, for example, cosplaying in a revealing costume. So to manage with that, we have had some solutions for that. For example, people who wear the Muslim headscarf, the hijab. Some of them, they've styled it in a way that it looks like as if they're wearing a wig. But it's not actually the wig, it's their hijab, the way they styled it. And of course, you can look at different versions of the same character. Like, for example, you can look at a character that has a quite revealing outfit, but if you look at, for example, fan art, and you add your own twist and touch into it, then you can just go for a more conservative version in the Middle East. So I think that's a very good way for females to manage.
Yeah, I've actually seen it online as well. I saw, I think, a girl do Ariel, and she had like a red hijab, and I was like, "That's so clever." That's so. I love people who get really clever with things. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
For doing that. That is clever. Cool. Do you guys have like a sneaky zebra, but out in the Middle East, or not?
Yeah,
not yet?
we have. Well, we have one channel. They're called Enforcer cool. Channel, and they're mainly. They always go to the MEFCC Comic Con, Middle East Film Comic Con in Dubai, and they're really good. I don't know if they're watching us right now or not, but they do cosplay music videos. They edit photo shoots. In Qatar, we don't have anyone like that yet, but hopefully we can like manage to get people who do the same hobby. After all, we all learn from each other. And right now we can't go to Dubai, but hopefully when Qatar Games Expo happens, then hopefully they can visit us and we can have cosplay music videos there. And of course, Katya and Sneaky Zebra and Issa, I don't know if she's watching us right now. You're most welcome to visit us in Qatar and the Middle East. I mean, we can all learn from each other, the Middle East community, the UK community, and so on.
Yeah,
that's the hope one day to get over there. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we again kind of said about the kind of community thing is we just want to meet people and meet from the experience, and it's simple as that. It gives you so much chance to test stuff out, really, doesn't it? I think that's the other great thing. It's a great testing ground, because if you do something and it doesn't quite work, you're like, okay, right, well, let's change this next time. And
yeah, exactly. No, I agree with that. That's really cool. Is there anything you feel like is missing in the Middle East, or something you would like to see more over there in the community?
Well, in Qatar, we are missing conventions for a start.
The most important thing.
That's true. I guess at the moment, at least it's an even playing field with everyone.
I mean, the problem is even before the whole pandemic situation happened, we had only one convention, and we didn't have any other convention. We do have some events from time to time, but I think what we're missing in the I think what we are missing in the Middle East is we are missing big events where there are more international tournaments happen, more cosplay tournaments and competitions. Like we have people who have joined for the World Cosplay Summit. And right now we are promoting an online competition called the Geeky Middle East. I don't know if you've heard of Geeky, but they are a Korean competition. They're based in South Korea. They have a cosplay competition and they have an artist competition, other competitions as well. So the cosplay competition for Geeky basically is something online. You have to submit a 2 minutes video. You have to impersonate the character and cosplay them at home. Like the situation would be, what would Bruce Wayne, Batman, be doing back at home during, for example, the pandemic situation? Yeah. He'll probably be thinking of finding a cure because he's a genius. That's Batman. And I think that's what we are missing right now.
Yeah, it's weird being in this time where it's locked down and we can't go to cons and everything's online. So I'm seeing so much more online cons and online competitions and things. And it's all very new to us. So we're in that weird new zone of testing it out. Does it work? Like this might be a future where we all just come and cosplay online. But it's weird.
It does also show like the commitment of like all of us as fans of this stuff, that even during this, we're going to find a way. We'll be in the same place together. We will find a way to have cons somehow. Somewhere. Oh, most definitely. But I can't wait to get back out there. Like, I'm sure you guys are missing it as well. Just being around the buzz and everyone around you, all the cosplays. Ugh, I miss it.
Yeah, I miss it a lot.
Yeah.
It's a very weird time because obviously, because we go to so many conventions, there's a certain point where we would almost set our yearly calendar by it, and I'm having enough trouble telling the day of the week it is. Let alone, there's no San Diego, there's no this, there's no this.
There's no plans. There's no plans for anything.
Is it now?
I don't know what day it is. What day is it? Sunday? Saturday?
We joke about that. I thought it was Tuesday on Thursday.
To be honest, we're lucky we're here. We made it time for the stream.
Let me check. Well, it's Saturday today. Okay.
20th of June.
Confirming that. I genuinely would thought about double checking then.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, is it actually Tuesday though?
Oh god. No, I'm gonna have to check out. I see a bunch of people commenting about the Enforcer, so I'm definitely gonna check out their videos. That's one of the things that we obviously love seeing is we get a lot of people like message on Instagram or whatnot from various countries of like, oh, you know, they're doing a small con at this thing. Like I've shot a cosplay video, and it's like there's a certain thing where like we have where like even with cosplays coming over to ask to film with us, we're just like look at us, we're just two normal dudes. Like just come say, hey, you want to show us a cosplay video? Like 100%. Like I'll give constructive criticism or feedback. I'll go, this is cool. Next time try this. Or if you're having a problem with that, like give this a whirl.
I think for like going up to content creators, like we actually got to a point where we had something where we started it called the sneaky selfie, and the whole point of it is we had a few people who used to come to us after a con and they'd go, I saw you guys, but I felt too nervous about coming to say hello or asking to be filmed. Now, like the whole reason we're there is to film with people. So like we will film if anyone asks us. We've never ever once, unless we were running late to something, have turned around to anyone and said, no, we're not going to film yet. We film with everybody. But you get so many people like, oh, I felt nervous about asking something like that. So we came up with the idea with a sneaky selfie, and the whole point is then that's asking people to come up to us. That's us turning around and saying, hey, look, come grab a selfie with us, pull the Gary point, give us the hashtag. And then what we were finding is that people would go, cool, can I have a sneaky selfie? It's like, yep, cool. And then they go, oh, and can I be filmed? And yeah, brilliant. So it was a great way to open a door and basically say, look, yeah, we're open as hell. Like, come film with us. We want to film with people, and we want to film with a variety of people as well. I mean, there's definitely some certain faces that will always pop up in our videos. That besides Gary,
always popping up.
Yeah, you know, we have lifelong friends that we've made at cons, but you know, we'll always try and film with new people or new things, because again, like, it's the experience you guys have will help us create new ideas for shots, and then we can adapt those and use those in the next set of shots or the next set of videos, and kind of go from there. So yeah, we definitely try and you know, make it as welcoming as possible, I think, on that front.
Yeah, no, I feel that as well. And I love how collaborative it is, that if I have an idea and you have an idea, it just kind of merges into one beautiful idea and it all comes out together. So yeah, props to not like, I know people get a bit controlling, like, oh, I only want to show shot one way, or can you do a shot where you lean over, you know, that kind of thing. But no, you've always been very like true to the character, and yeah, it's great.
It's I mean, that's the thing as well, like, because we kind of go along with like this much of a plan when we go to events, because you want to like be open to like, because I remember there were some cosplay videographers we knew who would go to a convention and they would try and almost storyboard out, like, I need this shot, this shot, this shot, this shot, this shot, and this shot, and it has to be exactly this length to fit into the music. And it's like, editing doesn't really work that way. It's not like a Lego thing where you can just take your plans and just build it that way. Like, it's about going, oh, you know, just, it's creative. The same way as cosplay is creative, making a cosplay video is just as creative. You know, it's like feeling out, you know, you watch a film and there's a script, but what happens on set is actors throw their own things in, the DP throws their own things in, the editors, the VFX guys come up with some crazy thing to throw in, and you're taking the best bits of everything and then making something from it. And that's kind of the big thing with the videography side of like, okay, just be open to everybody's input. Or if they go, what if my character does this, but I can also do this, or like, I was thinking about this, but I don't know if that would work. And it's like, okay, well then we just workshop it, and you know, hopefully together we come up with something that we're all kind of like, okay, that's actually pretty cool.
There's been a couple of times as well where there's one guy, a recent con that we were at, and he came up to us and he goes, by the way, I can do a full backflip in this suit. I'm like, brilliant, cool. Like, we never would have suggested that to anyone. Like,
do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh yeah, we're going to turn that down. Like, no, actually, just sit still,
so,
please.
Katya, whilst you're in this lockdown period, just practice your backflips, because
so I'm going to get like super sporty, get Wonder Woman on, and then you'll be like filming Wonder Woman backflipping. You best be ready. Oh boy. That's hilarious. Do you want to get on to some questions?
Yeah, I have a question here.
Yeah.
The most memorable Qatar cosplays. Okay, well, I think it depends. Like, we have so many people in our community; they have their own memorable memories and cosplays. Like, which cosplay they like the most. For me, I'll tell you an example of one successful cosplay event which we did. It was for Avengers Infinity War, and we had my cosplay co-manager of the community, Ninong Knows, and shout out to you, Ninong Knows. He had a Thanos suit built in just like less than a month, and we had the muscle suit put in. And we had so many people anticipating this, and we had just little time to prepare everything for the cinema, who told us, okay, you guys have to have good costumes, this and that, because it was the first time working with them, so it's understandable. And when we had Thanos come in during the event, and people were like, oh my God, it's Thanos. the look at the people's faces, yeah, exactly. And even the children were happy, even though Thanos is, you know, villain, but they loved him anyway. So I think that's one of the most memorable cosplays, and as well as Batman. Like, when I go as Batman, the children, they really love seeing Batman, and some nickname me the Batman of Qatar. You know,
which is that must suck for having that nickname. You love that.
Batman. Wow, you have to change your name now. That's it.
Yeah, it's like a nickname. Oh, Batman. Oh, where's Batman? There's this event called. There's an event called Ajyal Film Festival. It's an international film festival done annually in Qatar, and there is a part of it called Geekdom, where you have cosplay and then artist alley and so on. So when I go as Batman there, they're like the children, they just love coming around and taking pictures, and that makes me really happy. That I think that's one of the most memorable cosplays. You know, making people happy who love the character, adults, children, anyone. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that's it. I've seen so many amazing cosplays. I can't even recollect a best one. Can you guys? Do you remember any ones that really?
I mean, you definitely mentioned a few earlier on. You know, this the trouble. You get so you do get so many. I think it's really hard to nail it down because, and again, I think there's such a variant in skill set. Like, you know, we've seen people who've done an amazing makeup job. How do you compare that to someone who's done an amazing seamstress job? How do you compare that to someone who's done an amazing phone build?
That's true.
I mean, I think in like the travels of like all the cons we've been to, I still have my like one that I nerded out at way too much, which isn't even like one that like, again, justifiably people didn't nerd out, but was the dude who was dressed as Skeletor. Masters of the Universe movie with Dolph Lundgren. And like, because I grew up watching that film so many times, like seeing someone in that, like I was just that was for me like the coolest. I was like, take my picture with him, film him, like, just...
please, everything. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's a taken guarantee about being in a Sneaky Zebra video. If it's someone from Gary's childhood, they'll make the cut.
Things I loved as a child.
Yeah. Late 80s, early 90s comics. Then yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah. What would you want the international cosplay community to know about the Middle Eastern cosplay community?
Well, I want them first to take a look at our work, and not just us. There are cosplayers around the Middle East communities in Saudi Arabia, in UAE, in Bahrain, Oman, Lebanon, Egypt, and so many countries around. And I want them to take a look at their work and see that we have these kind of events, we have these kind of cosplay. Sure, we might not have events always, but I want them to know that we're open to creativity. We can incorporate things from our culture. And like, for example, you'll see people in Dubai. They do this a lot in Dubai. You see someone cosplaying as Darth Vader, but then they're wearing the traditional Arab garment, and they're mixing and matching here and there. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Noah.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm super jealous of the skills, the After Effects skills. By the way, so good. Man.
I know, right?
All right, so we're gonna do some of the questions that were upvoted first, and then we'll work on some of the other ones. But yeah, thanks to all you guys for joining us from all over the world, which is pretty amazing. So what online resources do you recommend to cosplayers who are practicing physical distancing?
Online cosplay resources. You can get really cheap foam floor mats from your hardware store. They're like, so you can actually go out and get them. And like they're kids floor mats. They're like interlocking floor mats. So they're there for kids to walk on. And they're super cheap. And you can also get craft foam, which are also like what kids use as well. So that kind of stuff is there. That's the one. that format. I forgot to bring my sample, but there we go. That's a great one, especially if you're making like big props and stuff. You can layer it up. That's super cheap. Hot glue, again. I mean, it's not really my favorite to work with, but it's a great one to start off with, which you can also get.
What this thing was made out of.
Is that foam floor mat?
That's all foam floor mat, and that was like,
Hey.
I cast up bits and made a hand,
awesome.
which is still, and it's signed by Robert Downey Jr. as well, which doesn't hurt.
There we go.
He grabbed my arm and went, "I will sign that."
That's great.
That's so cool. Like getting your cosplay signed by the actual person. That's
Yeah,
just
that was at the Ultron premiere.
that is cool.
But yeah.
But yeah,
Those are good.
I have some stuff I make every now and again.
yeah. You're a maker. I'm a filmmaker.
Yeah, not on the level of any of you guys, but
Still cool.
I think this is a really important one for everybody who is aspiring or maybe has just started cosplay. What do you bring to the event in case you have to do some sort of a repair?
Oh, yes. We're very lucky at the UK to have a little stall set up called like A&E for cosplayers, where if you've broken your cosplay, you can go over and they'll help you. But 100% safety pins. I cannot stress to enough. My first cosplay was held together by 100% safety pins. So if I can do it, you can do it. And yeah, safety pins, some super glue or contact cement glue.
I would say from just the filmmaking side and being at cons and people having stolen them off me, you fixed Sharpies. So if your costume has like black bits and silver bits or something, like bring black and silver Sharpies because you can cover up so many mistakes with those things.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, Sharpies is a really good one. So I think those are like the little essentials. Even like a little thread and needle in case something comes loose. So always useful.
If your costume has like pouches, then you have the benefit of like if you're like Captain America and you have pouches on it or something like that, or Batman where you have the utility belt, like you can use your pouch.
Yeah, and sometimes I actually make pouches for my phone in a cosplay, or find ways where I can slip my phone into my costume. So just get creative and see where you can like slide it in where it's not really shown. So yeah,
exactly.
I've judged a few cosplay competitions, not just here but before. And for me, it's always like how you guys were saying, like the swagger and actually being in the character. But this one, I want you guys to answer. What is the one thing you think can make or break a successful cosplay?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say I'm always a sucker for details and clean lines. So if something is so clean and then suddenly you just mess up on a bit, it can kind of just draw your eye to that area. So I think if you're going for a really super clean build and you have something that's not quite so clean, then it can kind of disjoint the eye a little bit. But that is a tricky one. What do you guys think?
I think definitely like the two like things I go. The one is like I said, like the kind of, I call it performance. Like you don't need to be an actor, but like when you're in cosplay, like I cosplayed like Poe Dameron for one of the things, which isn't in any of the videos. But like you kind of had to walk along, and you kind of, if you kind of start getting your head in the mindset, you'll kind of walk with a bit of, swagger. You got your helmet or whatnot, and you're carrying kind of thing. Like
believable, yeah,
you kind of like embody the thing. Or like whenever I was doing Butcher from the Boys, like you kind of have to. The thing, the other thing that kind of breaks cosplays for me sometimes is like, I mean, if people can see behind me, I love Star Wars. So most of my references will be Star Wars.
I didn't know.
It's very subtle, right?
Yeah.
Making a Star Wars film, but was a Boba Fett that was going around at a con, and it was an amazing looking Boba Fett, but there was no weathering on it. And the person
weathering!
But it was so clean that my brain was just like, it looks cool, but it just looks
too clean,
wrong. Like, and I was like, this is a character that needs to look worn in and can't look pretty and just like it was Boba Fett straight from the dry cleaners. That was just one of those things. Like, it's amazing. Like the build quality is great, but like you just that one extra step that would have just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, weathering is absolute key. I do it in all my cosplays, even if it's supposed to be a clean build. Like when I say clean, I mean seams clean, not like messy clean. But when you have a little bit of weathering, it just makes it pop. Like it really does. Makes it so much more realistic. So that's definitely an essential.
I think from my side, what makes or breaks a cosplay, for me, I love acting. So imagine if you're in a costume, and even if your costume wasn't 100% accurate, but then the way you act in that character is, well, accurate. True. Then at least you've gained half of the points. That 50% in, that's acting for the cosplay. But if you don't act into that character, or I mean, sometimes people don't act into that character because they don't know much about them. But for me, for example, I suggest if you want to do a cosplay, like get to know them more, how they act. It's not just, oh, they look good, they look cool, I'm just gonna cosplay them. No, it's how you act like them. So I think that's a major factor in how to make or break a cosplay.
Because, I mean, that is the thing. Like, sometimes you'll go to a con and there's that con crunch period where some people are just like, I didn't quite get this to the level. fully wanted it to be at. But you like I say, if you show up and you're missing a few of like the little finer details, but you really, really bring it. Like if you show up pretending to be Tony Stark and you actually act like Tony Stark the entire time, like I'll buy it.
Yeah. Passion is everything.
Yeah.
How long after you cosplay do you still act like Batman?
That's what I was reading, but I didn't want to ask.
I was like, no.
he still acts like Batman. Like she knows.
You're just Batman. Like, just admit it.
I'm Batman.
Does that make Tim Lex Luthor? Well, his maniacal plan to speak isn't really working right now. So.
Your mic, dude.
Unmute.
Unmute you.
What's your cosplay? From a film?
Testing me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's just muted. I didn't do anything. And how often should somebody use the same cosplay, especially if it's like multiple events in a row?
All the time. If you made something you're proud of, you show that off and you don't stop. Because if you're just like, oh, it's old. I mean, I'm such a hypocrite because I'm like, oh, I need to make something new every time. I can't wear the same one. But I definitely like, if you're proud of it, then just go for it. Keep wearing it. I don't think you should put a limit on it at all.
I guess there's also the thing of a lot of people kind of, if you do a character, a lot of people will just kind of do a new version of that character as well.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Like,
sometimes, or they'll go, oh, I wore this cosplay to a thing. Like I've done it once, or I've worn a cosplay, gone, you know, this was a problem, that was a problem, that was a problem.
Yeah.
I want to wear it next time after I fix those problems, and I'm going to feel more comfortable and know that I don't have to like try and keep that from doing that, try and keep that from doing this, and this pinches over here, and you know, the electronics in this only worked for about 20 minutes, so I need to rewire that.
Yeah, so you always learn.
There's a lot of kid cosplayers here, so any advice for the parents?
You let them do what they want, of course, but I would think just kind of restrain it, as in obviously it's kid friendly, so don't go out there making your kids wear hot pants and stuff for Harley stuff. I mean, make it a little bit more considerable to other people. But I think the main thing is just having fun. So making sure your kid has fun and they're just able to go taking pictures with other cosplayers. Like I have so many kids who come up to me like, oh, Wonder Woman. Like they just really, it's that kind of experience. So like share, take pictures with other people and just watch them live in the world that they've always dreamed of. It's like Disneyland to them. So you've gotta respect that.
The first thing that you did, and have you like tried to remake it, whether it was a costume or a video or anything?
I've done both of those things. That's, I mean, the thing with like the video making side of stuff, like the cosplay videos, I guess every time we go to a con, we're essentially trying to take what we learned last time and improve on it and redo it and go, okay, this worked. And, you know, there's certain cons we've been to where we've filmed and like we didn't put a video out because at the end of it, we just, you know, you kind of like anything, you know, if there's a costume that you've done and you're just not happy with what you've done or things have gone wrong, you kind of maybe go, we'll go back and we'll do it better next time, but it's so bad we don't want to show people that thing, which is a thing that happens as well. Like,
yeah, it's only,
you know, any film studio you watch, like Disney has like 10 films you've never seen that are sitting on a shelf that will never see the light of day, that have the biggest stars in Hollywood in them because they're not good. So don't get discouraged whenever something goes wrong or doesn't go your way. Just learn from it, adapt, and you know, come back at it again.
Have you ever started a build or video or whatever, and then found it really difficult, that it was hard to finish? Maybe you took a break or whatever. What was the problem and how did you finish it?
You want to go ahead, Gary?
Well, I mean, I am literally at the moment having some of that where I have a couple of cosplay video projects that I have to do. And I have a short film that I'm in the middle of shooting at the moment. And editing those has been really difficult. And that's obviously there's the mindset of being stuck indoors now, which working from home for like 8 years, you'd think I'd be used to that. Working remotely a lot for 8 years. But there is a certain like mental aspect to trying to get yourself back in the vibe of doing it. So like chatting with you guys now has got me in the vibe to actually want to edit cosplay video again.
Yeah.
But there's certain times you just kind of stare at the stuff and just go, please just make yourself. Like, I just don't have the brain power to do this right now. I look at it and I scan through everything, and I'm sure you might have it like with cosplay materials, where you just kind of pick everything up and you're looking at it going, I know what I need to do with these. Just, I can't figure where to start or where to go. Or what to do.
Yeah, it's really hard. Like everything, I struggle a lot with con crunching. I con crunch for every single con I do, and it's really tough. Like getting that motivation to finish, especially if it's a really big build. I'm like, ugh. And I have such a rude perfectionist, so I'm like, oh no, it has to be perfect. That theme has to be perfect, and it has to be the way I like, or like I'm not. And I don't even like. I just do it for fun, but still, I have this self pride that I have my own kind of standard where I want to be. How I overcome it, take breaks. Like, please remember just to, you need break. Even though I hustle from like, I wake up really early, go till like 3-4 a.m. and then do it again and just keep going and going. But you need to have that, take some time out just to reflect. And like, I love making lists as well. Make a list of everything that I need to get done. That helps kind of put things into perspective. And always imagine yourself at the end wearing that costume and how badass you'll look. And hopefully you can go film a sneaky zebra and it will be awesome. So just go think about all the things you could do with it, and that will kind of motivate you to...
I think one thing you guys said earlier, obviously before we were on the stream, that's kind of a good thing as well, was like the watching the stuff. If you get into a real bind of like, you know, the example of the watching the Black Panther, or, you know, if you were making a Wonder Woman thing, like watching Wonder Woman. I had it working on my Star Wars thing where I was in a real slump, and then on Disney Plus they have the making of the Mandalorian. And I put that on, and then after that I was just so jazzed to actually make something.
Getting re-inspired, like we talked about, watching the film or going back playing the game, so you're like, oh, I love this so much, and that will power you through to the end.
It is kind of amazing how you can like just slump down and then just one tiny like kick of it will just, you know, jumpstart you back up on the love. So you just kind of just got to keep riding the wave, I guess.
It's a journey. It really is. It's weird.
QGX themselves wants to know, what is like the best cosplay competition in the world, or the one that gets the most love or whatever?
I would say BlizzCon, when they have their, I don't know if that's really oh no, it is. But everything I see from that con blows my mind, and it's a whole nother level. I really want to go one day, and it's just, the level is insane. Like, I think the craft level is really off the charts, and the big ones as well. They have the big competitions that I think it's not EG, it's the one that they film in Japan Expo, like the finals.
Oh, yeah, I know the one you.
ECG.
I can't remember the name. ECG? No, wait. This is the one where Nick would remember. This is the part that Nick will remember. He won't remember character, but he'll remember that.
I think it's ECG. But yeah, I'll say BlizzCon, because that's just, whoa. I love it.
The stuff there, having been there, is insane.
It is insane, isn't it?
And people spend a year just working on one cosplay just to wear once to that event most of the time. Yeah. So it is, there's some creme de la creme, like, quality of stuff there. I don't really keep up that much with the downside of the convention stuff with the competitions is we don't really see the competitions that often because we're filming. So like half the time, like San Diego Comic-Con has its masquerade thing, and on the Sunday of that, we all of a sudden start finding all these awesome cosplayers because they've all been preparing for their masquerade thing the rest of the con. So like on Sunday, we're like, oh, geez, there's a giant Lex Luthor suit and like this Supergirl. Like, you guys are awesome. Like, yeah. We were filming, we were doing all that. We couldn't be out here on the floor. So, you know. For us.
Didn't you go to the one in Japan?
The one in Japan, the World Cosplay Summit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the one in Japan, we've had a few Arab cosplays going there, but hopefully we are also going to prepare for that. And it's really one of the most popular ones here in the Middle East, the World Cosplay Summit. But hopefully we can have more competitions like GCOF, World Cosplay Summit, and other ones here in the Middle East, because that's one thing, as I said earlier, that's one thing we really need here in the Middle East. And that's going to create not just more competition, it's also going to increase the prevalence of the word cosplay. What is cosplay? Oh, there's a cosplay competition. Oh, what is this? Should I get into it? Especially if you're a geek and you want to get into something new like that. So I think that's a good idea to encourage people to cosplay for them.
Say you go to a con or even a movie premiere or whatever it is, all right? And it's maybe a themed one, or you know that somebody else is going to be wearing that same cosplay. What do you do to yours to maybe set it apart?
Tricky question. Well, well, and for me, there is no problem if there is someone else wearing the same costume as I am. But what I can do to try and stand out, if they're wearing I can wear another costume which is similar. Like, for example, someone is wearing Batman from Justice League. I'm wearing Batman from the Dark Knight trilogy. I have both costumes. So if that person is wearing Batman from, I mean, unless I know them or I follow them on social media, I wouldn't know. So if someone is wearing that version of Batman, I'll be like, okay, I'll wear another version.
Yeah, I definitely think there's nothing wrong with someone who's cosplaying the same as you. Treat it as in, like, just do the Spider-Man meme together and just like have fun and be like, oh my god, you're in the same cosplay. Like when I went to the Birds of Prey premiere, we another girl did Huntress and so did I, but we just stayed the whole day together and like took selfies together. I had the kind of the arrows on my leg and she stuck with the chain look. So it's kind of like, just embrace it rather than being like you're at prom and it's like, oh my gosh, we can't wear the same thing. Just kind of
we've had it a few times with video things where like we were filming one of our friends. Chris was dressed as Doctor Strange, and he had a really cool Doctor Strange costume. And as we were going to film him, we met two other people dressed as Doctor Strange.
Yeah. So
we just got them all in. We were just like, well, we be filmed. So we got them to line up in a row. So Chris did this, and the other two stepped out from behind him, and they just all pretended to be illusions of each other. And they went around for like an hour pretending and just doing the same thing and copying each other. And I was like, it's just a fun way of going, you guys are dressed the same thing, but it doesn't mean you have to be like, oh, well, I will have this area and you will have that area.
I am the official Wonder Woman. No one can say that. It's like, that's such a like bad mentality to have. Like, just embrace it. Like in the video, like you said, get them all together. Get all them together.
The one I've always seen like pictures of and memes of is like whenever there's a bunch of Flash cosplayers together, where they'll just all line up in like the running. So they just look like they're the echo of the first one running along. And it's like, that's kind of fun because the great thing about cosplay is it is a community, but it's a very inclusive community. And I've found it's very rare that you find anybody wants to like shove someone apart. Like if someone's dressed as the same thing as you, typically what you want to do is walk over and go, oh, where did you get that part? Did you make that part? Like, oh, I had real trouble building this part. Like, how did you do it?
Yeah, I love that.
How many versions of Batman does Abdullah have? Well, I have two, more like 1.5, because I had I have the Dawn of Justice Batman versus Superman Batman costume. That's the one I wear the most to events. And I also have, I don't know if you've seen it, the Batman Ninja from the Batman Ninja movie.
Anime thing.
Yeah, that one.
That one's really cool.
Yeah, I know, right? It's really nice, and I like the way how it mixes between Batman and the Japanese culture.
Yeah,
I think like you.
So nice.
Yeah, like imagine if.
Bubble tea.
Yeah, and Harley Quinn from that movie, she looks really cool. Harley Quinn from that movie, she looks really cool. So imagine if I go to an anime convention in that costume, but I have to finish it first. How about the Adam West one? Oh well. That one is a classic. I want to do the Batman dance, wearing that costume. So yeah, it can be a plan for the future. Why not? And Sue mentioned, Batman from different timelines and the quantum mechanics messed up and all the timelines are mixed up. Well, if you have several Flash cosplayers, get them all together in the video, have them run around, and then have different Batmans pop in. Like they all came from different timelines.
Oh, I think you're muted again.
Oh no.
No. What is happening?
I think Lex Luthor got hacked by Batman or something. Superman was like, hey, Bats, I need you to help me with. Okay, fine, I'll do it. And then he hacks into Lex Luthor.
God damn it.
I guess we should be coming to an end.
Oh, there's so many questions.
Is that your bite?
Cool.
I guess we should all sign off then, since why wasn't this the whole way through?
That's so funny.
Before we go, tell everybody where they can find your stuff.
Oh, dear.
Adela, Yella.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Most of the time we post stuff on our Instagram on Q.Cosplayers. And yeah, that's basically the main social media platform which we're using right now.
You can find us at Sneaky Zebra pretty much everywhere. So youtube.com/Sneaky Zebra, Instagram, Sneaky Zebra. To be honest, they're the main two we use now. We are on Twitter and Facebook, so you can just search Sneaky Zebra, but Instagram and YouTube are the two best ones to find us on.
Yeah, and the least toxic. And Katya?
Yes, you can find me at Katya Fern on Instagram, KatyaFern, and on Facebook, I am WonderCat Cosplay.
At Geeky Amreeki on everything you can imagine. And then Sue needs a favor, so let's find out what that is. Can I get a shout out?
Hi, Sue.
Yeah. Shout out to Sue. By the way, Sue is from the Oman cosplay community. She's a cosplayer. Can I give shout outs if we have some time?
Yeah, man, give a shout out.
Okay, first, shout out to all of the Arab cosplay community people, whether they're from Oman, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, and UAE. And of course, shout out to my fellow cosplayers in the community. I love you guys, and I know I haven't seen you since a long while, so I hope you're taking care. Shout out to the cosplayers also not in the GCC, the other ones like the ones in Lebanon and Egypt. Shout out to you guys and the ones in Jordan. And yeah, shout out to all of our fans, and shout out to you guys, Sneaky Zebra, Issa, Katya. Shout out to you guys for joining us here, and I'm really happy that you joined us. And of course, Tim, who's too busy trying to hack Batman or hacking him.
No, I have to communicate with the QGX guys through here because we can only have 4 people at once.
Yeah, and only 3 can talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Aw.
Thank you guys for having us on this stream. I'll say thank you on behalf of Nick as well, because I'm sure he's on one of the chat windows watching.
Yes, and shout out to you, QGX. Thank you guys for bringing us here, QGX.
This is a lot of fun, and obviously I see that there's a button to register for your guys' crafting session stuff as well.
Yeah, definitely do that. I already did that when I first came in, but I'm excited about that one because I've always been curious to see how some of the stuff are made, like how you showed the glove. How do you make that out of a kid's playmat? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it takes a while. I won't show version 1, 2, and 3.
One last thing, The Rocketeer is one of the best action movies ever made, and that is a fact. I saw that poster.
Yeah, right there.
It gets slept on because other movies came out after, but whatever. Anyway, that's it for this one, guys. I hope everybody will join us next week when we are doing the cosplay crafting sessions. Should be pretty amazing. Okay. And of course, thank you, as always, to QGX for bringing all of the basically geek community together, not just in Qatar, but globally now. Especially in this time when we can't hang out, they let us hang out.